So let me set the scene. Back in March of this year, I set out on what I expected to be a 10-day adventure to build a library of videos to post following the anticipated arrival of my baby girl. We're on day 3 of our Southern Utah overland trip and currently off course by nearly 100 miles.
White Pocket is epic. The man said it. This is awesome.
Here's what you've missed. On day 1, I set out to meet up with Rob from Revere Overland, David from Off the Grind, and Jevin Dovey in Escalante to drive a new route that we had put together. And as I arrived in Escalante, David and Rob were off fighting snow and mud and all that crap in the San Rafael Swell, and I was staring down more of the same on that new route that we had planned.
We're just short of pavement now, so we're going to stop and air up because we've got a long stretch of highway to get down to Escalante, which is going to be where we're meeting up with Justin, and we are quite late.
So we threw an audible and called Jevin, who was on his way to meet us, and told him to change course for the Barracks Trail. The Barracks Trail challenged us with this massive hill climb, but we got through it and ended up at White Pocket in Arizona. It was easily one of the prettiest sunsets I have ever experienced, but now we're 100 miles off course and a full day of driving behind from meeting up with my Patreon members in southeastern Utah. If you haven't heard, I moved from YouTube memberships to Patreon, so in this video I may say YouTube members a few times. Just know that all of the perks are now exclusive to Patreon and that we'd love to have you along for our next trip. So click the link in my description to learn a little bit more. I take my paid support from Patreon members very seriously, and knowing that I'm an extra hour and a half away from the planned meeting spot might as well be a day behind with all of the driving that we have to do. Waking up, I need to hike back to the overlook to gather my time-lapse camera, and while I'm up there, I take in as much of the sunrise as I can, because after this, it will be an all-out rush to make it to camp tonight. With the colors of sunrise now muted, we get camp torn down in record time, and it's time to notify my Patreon members and let them know that we're on the move. Driving through this area is really neat because the formations all look like petrified dino poop. I'm not sure if they are still considered hoodoos, but that's what I'm going to call them, dino poo hoodoos. The drive out is easy, but it's not exactly uneventful. Just as we finally turn off the dino poop trail to start pointing north, David gets a nosebleed.
The thing about visiting Utah from, I don't know, I'm just gonna make up a state, let's say Washington, is that we have a little bit of an elevation here. And if you're not accustomed to it, well, you might get a nosebleed.
This is a word of caution to those of you visiting Utah, even right here in this desolate, unassuming road. We're at 6,000 feet of elevation and the air humidity is 0. Staying hydrated and being prepared for altitude sickness if you're accustomed to sea level is a priority when you're visiting Utah. All right, we're rolling again. I have driven plenty of roads like this to know that there will inevitably be someone ripping around one of these blind corners. When you find yourself out here, use some caution because you can't control what others do, but you can control what you do. So slow down at a blind corner and take them wider than you normally would because you never know what heavy-footed traffic is around the bend. All right, so that does it for dirt for a while. Let's get aired up and start our long day of highway driving.
Well, time to air up again. Got compressors all running. Here we all are. We're lined up just like a whole bunch of YouTubers. This looks like a fun little road, doesn't it? We're not going down there. We're getting on the freeway. We're heading into Page. Tonight, we're meeting up with some of my YouTube members. So if you ever want to camp with me, there is a join button below this video. Click on that. There's details on how you can, well, become a YouTube member of my channel and join me on a camp out. So let's get aired up, get on the highway, maybe find some food, you know, the things.
Well, this is it. This is the end. Airing up, and I'm going to the West Coast.
And I'm going to the no coast.
If you're watching this and wondering how I can just abandon my Jeep behind me while it airs up, the answer is I have a Kraken tire inflation system from Epic 4-wheel drive, and as a part of that, I have the ARB Bluetooth module. So right now, the air compressor is just, well, it's doing what it wants. I have it set to air up to 37. I can walk around, I can say goodbye to the boys, and the truck just kind of takes care of itself.
I just want to take a moment to acknowledge how ridiculous we look. Us three, we're all matching. We all got black shirt on, and then, you know, like green pants. What would you call these?
Olive? Greenish olive.
Yeah, olive drab pants. Like, no wonder people make fun of us. But then there's Justin. Justin's different. Justin is, he's setting his own path here.
You know, I'm an influencer. Pretty soon, you guys will be wearing straw hats and Spider-Man shirts. it's happening.
The Spider-Man shirt is particularly suitable here. Like we noticed like 30 seconds ago. that this is what was going on, and we all just pointed at each other.
I'm jealous of this look, honestly. It's pretty good.
It's comfortable.
It looks comfortable, actually.
Yeah. Let's go drive.
Yeah, let's go get lunch. Do you want your camera back?
I do. I'm gonna need that.
Let's do it.
This was actually my camera.
Mine now.
Well, it was
Look at this. Version 1 lens. Here, you can have it back.
Still works.
We got to do a walk around at some point.
Okay, he's got tires, a bumper, a winch, a snorkel, an alu cab, a Kraken, King suspension, anti-rock sway bar. He's got a propane tank. He's got an awning, and on the other side, I think there was a shower cube. Inside, leather seats. He's got a 67 Designs dash mount. That's it. We did it. A walk around.
Yeah, we've talked about it forever. Good
Yeah.
job.
Yeah,
Crushed
did
it.
Did it in a second. All right, dude. See you, man.
See ya.
With Jevin heading west, we make our way east towards Page. Page is one of those oasis towns in the middle of nowhere. It's usually a supply stop, but there isn't any time for that this time. So from Page to Monument Valley, it's another 150 miles, and then we still have another 50 miles to meet up with our group.
Before I met up with Rob and David, they were covered in mud. They got stuck in a big nasty mess in the San Rafael swell. So Rob is currently cleaning off his Jeep. We got to hit the road, so we're gonna give him, one of these. Hello, you leaving?
Yeah.
Bye. Bye. I love you. Love you too, dear.
I'm
almost done. I've just got to clean the bay now. Are we in a hugging? I guess we are. All right. Drive safe, dude. Bye. See you, man.
See you, Rob.
All right, let's get on. I need a propane tank, then we're out of here.
Rolling out of Page around 2 p.m., it looks like we should be at our trailhead around 5. And with Rob now making his way back to Kentucky, it's down to me and David and this very long stretch of desert highway. I want to be very clear right here that this video is not sponsored in any way by Audible. On stretches like this, Audible is how I survive. And the only reason I'm bringing it up is because I am addicted to the Andy Serkis versions of Lord of the Rings. It almost makes me want to just plan long, drawn-out drives just so that I can listen to them. So if you're an LOTR nerd like I am, I have linked them in the description. Again, not sponsored in any way. I'm just a nerd, and I have a passion for Lord of the Rings. So there you go. Now you can pass some time on your desert highway drives.
In a hole in the ground, there lived a hobbit. Not a nasty, dirty, wet hole filled with the ends of worms and an oozy smell, nor yet a dry, bare, sandy hole with nothing in it to sit down on or to eat.
And finally, we have found dirt. And this is my first time I can play with my new method of recording audio of the truck while I'm getting aerial shots. I'm pretty proud of this, and I'm curious to know if you think it adds a little bit more, I don't know, chutzpah or gumption or just whatever you want to call it to the video.
Good news, we made it, and we found a camp spot. lucky freaking us. But even more lucky than that is we have one of my YouTube members here, Robert, who is fondly known as Toby Jefe, El Jefe, if you will. And he's throwing out some sourdough pizzas here because he is a chef, a Jefe. Tell us a story about your sourdoughs, man.
There's a place, a bakery in Boston that makes a prosciutto and Parmesan like loaf. So that's what I got into, so I could recreate that. And then my wife got me a Gosney rock box for Christmas. And then I got into sourdough pizza dough. And I was working this week trying to figure out which one I like. I figured it out, and now we're trying them out.
On this trip, I have Robert, who you just met, in his Lexus that I call the carpet bag because he fits more stuff in it than Mary Poppins could dream of. Jeff in the van, he also has a Gladiator and has been sharing some of his really cool trips on his Instagram. And Joe isn't here yet, but he will get here in the morning. Joe has the Mazda that was our pace vehicle last November for our first ever Thanks Landing trip. And then lastly is Alex. Alex is technically David's Patreon member for this trip, but he has since joined mine and has a really cool Tacoma. And we'll go into more detail in everybody's build in the next video. All of these gentlemen have Instagram accounts that I have shared in the description. Go give them some love. Now that we're at camp, set up, and relaxing, it's time to hang out around the howl and catch up with the crew. As always, thank you for hanging out. I had a lot of fun with this chatting on the tailgate format. I'm going to noodle with this idea a little bit more in some future videos, but I'm kind of excited to see it evolve. If you haven't seen, I have made some changes to my release schedule. This month I have been working hard to overcome my most toxic ADHD trait, which is inconsistency. So to do so, I have published at least one reel a day on Instagram, and this exercise has helped me, shape a YouTube schedule that I'm excited for. So my schedule going forward is an adventure video like this one every Friday at 5 p.m. Mountain Time, which is actually today and it's 6:13. So I'm really crushing it. And then every Tuesday, a gear video, which will also go up at 5 p.m. Mountain Time. All right, let's roll credits, and I will catch you Tuesday. I have a lot of video irons in the fire right now, and I am anxious to try and hold this goal. I can do it, and I am stoked to have your support.